Elon Musk will be launching the largest initial public offering in Wall Street history. It's going to be looking at a $2 trillion valuation. Now, that's bigger than, the GDP of a lot of countries combined. And obviously, no country or no company in the world at that now has, that amount of money sitting somewhere. We're talking about $2 trillion, guys. That's ain't no small money. Uncle Zach is actually tired of ad money, so he has launched paid subscription. Now, that song, it just made me think about, that very popular song that we used to sing, Dangote, still they find money. So whoever actually thought that a point would actually come where, you're going to be, having to pay for, let's say, basically simple things that you actually use every day. It's just like saying that you're going to be paying, there's an option to pay to just use Facebook to, probably see the things that you've been seeing. But, obviously this one comes with a twist. So, Mark Zuckerberg launches paid subscription on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So for WhatsApp, it's going to be a $2.9 payment plan. And for Instagram, as well as for Facebook, you're going to be paying a $3.9 dollar subscription. Now, so guys, if you're still holding Bitcoin and crying inside of your room, relax, you're not the only one, as Mark Cuban is said to have sold 80% of his Bitcoin. Now, guys, can you believe that? 80% out of 100, he sold the 80%. Literally almost everything, if you ask me, saying that Bitcoin has actually lost its way. They've lost their plot, because, going on with the global tension that happened, they failed to be a safe haven asset. Gold actually did well than Bitcoin, so it's just like, almost thinking that probably should have invested in gold instead of Bitcoin. Hi. So if you think that Nigeria's inflation is high, think again, because SpaceX is about to launch the largest initial public offering in Wall Street history, as they're looking at a $2 trillion valuation. Now, let me tell you what this is. Now, SpaceX is actually looking for $75 billion cash. And why? You will ask why it's actually looking for that amount. As at Q1, they lost over $75 billion buying AI chips. So he's actually saying, we need to, make $75 billion. And in return, we're looking at a valuation to profit a lot of people in the amount of $2 trillion. Now, if you ask me, that's a very big one. So now here's the twist. He's going to be selling a no voting shares. If you don't know what that is, you have to stay tuned to this video and watch till the end so you understand everything that we're going to be talking about today, because this is Tech Talk, the headlines, and I'm Essien, your host. So now let's get right into it. So Elon Musk will be launching the largest initial public offering in Wall Street history. It's going to be looking at a $2 trillion valuation. Now, that's bigger than, the GDP of a lot of countries combined. And obviously, no country or no company in the world at that now has, that amount of money sitting somewhere. We're talking about $2 trillion, guys. That's ain't no small money. Now, if we're looking at this, the reason why he's actually doing this and saying, oh, we're going public is, he's actually saying we need $75 billion. It's like, we want to make $75 billion off of, people bringing their money, to buy stocks and, to, just get a part of this, rocket share. But we are looking at $2 trillion valuation. Now, so here's the twist. This is the reason why he's looking for $75 billion. So as at Q1 of 2026, he lost quite a lot of money. He lost over $4 billion, trying to get AI chips, because they were trying to get some stuff that they need and all that. So he's actually putting this up to the public to say, oh yes, we need your money. And we're going to be looking at a total valuation of $2 trillion, which is actually a large amount, to actually go around, if you ask me. But here's the twist that people don't know, that he's going to be selling this stock that he's selling is a no voting shares. Want to know what no voting shares is? Now, let's get into it. Now, I'm going to be explaining this to you like a 5-year-old now. Come close and listen. Now, let's imagine that you have a rocket, one very beautiful but small rocket that actually cost a lot to build, because of the batteries, the machineries, AI chips, and the rest of that you use. And, you're looking to get a bigger rocket. And you just said, you go to the playground and you gather all the children in the playground and said, can I have your lunch money? I'm going to be using this lunch money to build a bigger rocket. But here's the twist. You're not going to be telling me what game to play with this rocket. So that's how it actually sounds. It's, very funny. He's actually telling us, oh, we need your money, but at the same time, Kushi. You're not going to tell me what I'm going to, after we build this rocket. So it's like, if you want to get on, Elon's rocket ride, he is going to be telling you how to play and probably when to play. It's actually very funny. Back in the days where we're very little going to, playgrounds to play, there's this OG that always, always be the one, or he's always the one that has the football and brings it to the field for every other person to play with. But you notice that he's mostly very late sometimes. And when he actually comes, he's going to be like, he's going to be the first person to, be on the first team, and he's going to be the one to actually, he'll probably pick players that he wants to play with. So this is what Elon is actually trying to do right here with the SpaceX shares. Now, let me know in the comment section if you're going to be buying this shares. As I said before, it's a $2 trillion valuation, and it's going to be the biggest the world has ever seen. Obviously, for myself, I'm going to be saying, of course, yes, as well as I'm buying the Dangote shares, I definitely should be, putting a little bit of dip in the SpaceX shares. Hello guys, welcome back to Tech Talk. On our second headline story, we're going to be talking about Uncle Mark Zuckerberg. Now, Uncle Zach is actually tired of ad money, so he has launched paid subscription. Now, that song, it just made me think about, that very popular song that we used to sing, Dangote, still they find money. So whoever actually thought that a point would actually come where, you're going to be, having to pay for, let's say, basically simple things that you actually use every day. It's just like saying that you're going to be paying, there's an option to pay to just use Facebook to, probably see the things that you've been seeing. But, obviously this one comes with a twist. So, Mark Zuckerberg launches paid subscription on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So for WhatsApp, it's going to be a $2.9 payment plan. And for Instagram as well as for Facebook, you're going to be paying a $3.9 dollar subscription. Now, it doesn't end there. So what he's actually saying is, if you want to actually see people that are, rewatching your stories, or, get a custom theme, or get something a little bit different, or, get a custom theme on your charts, basically, this is what this money is going to be used for. And, this is me just telling you closely, for all of you that likes to be doing amebo, this is not the time, because if your ex actually peeps Uncle Zach $3, she's going to be saying that you've actually watched her story for 69 times in 5 minutes, and you don't want to do that. So this is me just giving it to you firsthand as an OG to a fellow OG. So, you don't want to be doing that. So, but here's the twist, and here's what we're talking about. Looking at the current state in Nigeria, because I'm going to be linking this, back to us here, that actually using these, social media platforms, and understanding the times that we're in, looking at the fact that, fuel has gone up, and, there's a lot that you want to do, data and all that. Would you actually be subscribing to this? Looking at the fact that you might actually, let me even think about it. Should I rather buy fuel, or should I rather buy diesel to put in probably, let's say, my gen, or give Uncle Zach $3 to see how many people has looked at me and how many times they have? You think about it and you do the maths. Hello guys, now let's look at this in details. For those of you that don't know, Uncle Mark, that's Mark Zuckerberg, has launched paid subscriptions to Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Now, looking at the numbers, you're going to be paying between $3 to $4, per month to, it says that you're going to be using this to see features. It could be who rewatches your story, and some custom features, could be custom features on chats, and, basically to change colors and the rest of that. So now this is actually, coming to Nigerians, and a lot of people are actually thinking or saying, is this necessary at the time? It's just like saying, for something that you've actually been using for free for a very long time, they are now making some very little tweaks and little changes, and they're asking you to pay. So we're going to be looking at this to see if, it is worth the money and worth the time. So firstly, let's see the reason why he's doing this. So as at for Q1, so we're looking at so now let's see the reason why this happened. So he said that Mark is actually looking at, getting $130 billion to build AI data centers. definitely you know what AI data centers are used for. Now, if you come to think about it, you say, or you ask yourself, oh, you could actually probably get that from, the ad spend that most of you spend in a month. But here's the twist. It's actually saying that your ad money is not enough, or it's not enough, rich. So for those of you now that actually at the end of the month, I see you do very, very robust and very luxurious Excel sheets with the different color palettes, and say, I know how you explain those things after you've gone to ChatGPT to go and copy plenty grammar and paste there. It says, from Q1 to Q3, we actually spent $7.5 million on this brand, and you're raising your shoulder and raising shoulder pad and thinking you're spending money, and you'll be shouting, Mark is chopping my money. Uncle Mark is actually saying that money is not enough to actually build his data centers, as he's looking for $130 billion. So that's the reason why, it's actually changed and says, okay, I think with the ad money that we're actually getting from you, from your, little spends and the rest of that, we could change things and, give people a little bit of difference and bring in things like custom teams and all that. So now let me explain this to you like you were a 5-year-old. Now let's take it back again to the football pitch with the guy that always comes last with his football, because everybody waits for him, obviously, to play football. And what Mark is actually saying here is like, you're still going to be using that pitch because it's free. You're still going to be the one that will hustle for your goal. You run around the pitch. But Mark is saying, it's just like for you to have a difference, or for you to look different. Let's say, for example, everybody is wearing a white socks, but for you to wear, let's say, a rainbow colored socks, or maybe a greenish yellow, or whatever it may seem, you're going to be paying a certain amount of money. Or say, let's give you a different feature as to when you score goals, the normal sounds he makes with the net when he comes across or when he hits the net. Mark is actually saying, okay, for your turn, it's not going to be just normal. It might be that, okay, a little whistle will be blown, or something will just happen that would, there will be a little bit of difference, obviously. So that's what it's actually saying here, with me giving you some features that other people might not get if they don't subscribe. So this is where the question is, looking at the fact that we have a lot going on right now, the price of fuel, the price of gas, and a lot of stuff. A lot of people are drowning in, data consumptions is on a high. For those of you using some of the networks and the telecom companies, you know what I'm talking about. So would you rather buy data, or you rather buy fuel to actually do your work, or say, I actually just want to see who is looking at me? Because I think about it, honestly, if I really need to know who's monitoring me or looking for somebody to give me quick shout out, I'll just call my African mother. She's going to hail me, or call one Egbo Adubo. That one is just going to give me what I need. I don't need to, basically, it's just my opinion. I'm just saying, I don't know what you think. According to Gigi, Gigi could say that financial mistake, but definitely I'm just saying, I need to know what you guys are thinking in the comment section. If you're going to be subscribing to, this new features, let me know in the comment section. So guys, if you're still holding Bitcoin and crying inside of your room, relax, you're not the only one, as Mark Cuban is said to have sold 80% of his Bitcoin. Now guys, can you believe that? 80% out of 100, he sold 80%. Literally almost everything, if you ask me, saying that, he thinks Bitcoin has actually lost his way. They've lost their plot, because, going on with the global tension that happened, they failed to be a safe haven asset, saying that gold actually did well than Bitcoin, so it's just like, almost thinking that probably should have invested in gold instead of Bitcoin. Now, let me explain this to you like a 5-year-old, like I always do. Going back to that same football pitch that you always go to play, we definitely get to wait for that guy to bring the ball at B. Now, looking back at this scenario, let's say he doesn't bring the ball, like everybody's actually waiting and he never brought the ball, and people are just waiting and they're like, okay, they decide to probably, want to play, but there is no ball. And probably you just look across and you see a little child, across holding a ball, but this time it's just that very lighter ball. I don't know if, for Nigerians that are of a certain age, you would understand felele, that felele ball, the one that we always call felele. And you decided to, say, let's just use this one to play since the guy didn't come. But that kid is actually telling you that, you must give him sweet money before you take his ball. And you actually said, okay, take your sweet money and give us your ball. And you collected and you started playing. And at some point, it looked like it wanted to rain. and there was a lot of wind and everything. And at this point, you could not play football anymore not because the ball wasn't with you anymore. It was because the wind would not even allow the ball to stay. That's how Felele is. We definitely don't play that ball when it's windy and when it's about to rain, because you obviously know that you won't have control of the ball anymore. And there you are, looking that you've already paid this kid, and you see the kid across holding your money, still very dry in his hands, while you can't do anything with it, and you just get angry and you leave the pitch and you throw the ball. So that's the same thing Mark Cuban is actually doing with his Bitcoin. I know a lot of people have Bitcoin and they're holding on to it strong and saying, okay, yeah, it's gonna rise. But Mark is actually thinking different. He says, this thing doesn't look like it's going to rise. Or when you're cooking rice and stuff is almost not rising, you obviously know there's problem with him. So that's what Cuban is actually saying. He doesn't see Bitcoin as a safe haven asset anymore, that they've actually lost their plot, and he's actually leaving. He's packed his bag and he's taking the next flight out of the crypto land. So this is another question from me to you. I'd like to know what your takes are on the action that he took with his, selling 80% of his Bitcoin. Would you be doing same, or would you still be holding on to your assets? Or do you believe that it's still a safe haven asset and, it's going to rise with time and things are going to get better? I just want to know this in the comment section, guys. Let me know. So guys, let me bring this particular news back home, because Omo Nanjani me, like they say. So it's not only our country that's actually facing insecurity. Our cyberspace is actually under attack as well, as the constant need of AI skills. So right now, a lot of companies and a lot of, conglomerates are actually looking for people that are really, really skilled and vast in artificial intelligence. So now you might need to actually dust your CVs and, try to upskill. A lot of people are talking about upskilling. This is actually the time, 2026, because a time might come that if you're not, vast, so let's say you're not learning applied AI or, data analytics, most of these tech companies are obviously going to be looking at your CV as one fried modem and just toss it in the bin, or just, push your paper aside. Now, you don't want that, so you have to upskill. Hi guys, welcome back. Now, which of this news actually affects Nigeria, or which of this news do you think actually affects Nigeria and affects you directly? We'd like to see it. You can speak to us in our comment section. Don't forget to like, share this video if you're finding value with this. Don't forget that you can also follow us across all platforms at B360 TV, as well as subscribe to this channel, because we would love to grow and we need you to do that as well. So guys, now this is the news in summary. We spoke about SpaceX $2 trillion valuation on their IPO. We also spoke about Mark Zuckerberg launching paid subscriptions, as well as Mark Cuban selling 80% of his Bitcoin. So that's all we have for you this week on Tech Talk, the headlines. My name remains SCN. Until I come your way same time next week, it's bye for now.